So now let me give you an example so we can make this session a little bit interactive. So let's say that you left your organization and you decided to work for Apple, and you are working in their internal audit team. And first assignment you went to is the following. You went to audit one of the branches. And while you are auditing these branches, your job is to audit actually who? You are going to audit the maintenance department in that branch. So you examine everything. However, you notice something weird. You notice that there is a customer that actually he gave his phone, broken phone to Apple, and actually the maintenance guy fixed his phone 1 day after the warranty expired. The Apple Care Plus expired. So now there's an issue. Why the maintenance guy was not charging the customer any money and he's fixing his phone for free after the Apple Care Plus expired? So you go, you ask that maintenance guy, you say, sir, can you tell me why did you do this? The guy will tell you, sir, this customer, he bought iPhone 5, and he bought iPhone 5 with 2 years extended warranty. Nothing happened. He bought iPhone 6 with 2 years extended warranty. Nothing happened to it. He bought iPhone 7 with 2 years extended warranty. 1 day after the warranty expired, something happened with it. So I thought, this is a loyal customer. This is our customer, and he is really taking care of his phone, and he is buying Apple Care Plus. If 1 day after the policy expires, I don't want to tell him you have to pay for it. I thought it's good for us to keep that customer, to appreciate that customer, is to tell him, don't worry, we will fix it for you. So now my question for you, that I want you to write the answer for it in the question and answer section. What should you do? If you face this situation, if you have an employee who's actually waiving charges for a customer because he's late on his credit card, because this customer, he's been with the bank for a long time and he's really loyal for the bank. In that case, what should you do? Should you allow him to do this? Or you should tell him, no, 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 no. You are not allowed to actually do that. What is the right approach that we need to deal with the customer? One group of auditors will say, hey, you maintenance guy, what you have done is completely not acceptable. Here, deficiency, internal control weaknesses, and you write it and you document it in your report and you create recommendations saying all maintenance staff should follow the policy, should actually follow the fee structure, and should charge the customer regardless. If you do this as an auditor, you are changing the culture inside the organization, because now the culture inside your bank, screw the customer, follow the policy. And how many banks I really hate it. Why? Because when I go to the bank, I say, here, I've been with you for the last 10 years. I have a lot of money in your bank. I have credit card. I have saving account. Can you please waiver these charges? They say, no, we follow the structure. We don't waiver anything. Why? If we waiver, my friend auditors are going to come and they are going to see that we can do it. So I'm so sorry. Can you get approval? They go to the manager also will not approve. Why the manager will not approve? Some of you said approval. Because the manager is thinking, if he will approve today, auditors will come later, they say, why did you approve to this customer? Is he your friend? He did something to you? So they don't want to go with that. They say, the policy said this, I don't want to create any exception that auditors are gonna look at and they say, oh, we found an exception here. So they say, no, 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 no. This is not the right approach. Forget about it. So this is what thing you can do. The second thing you can do, you can come to this guy and tell him, I really appreciate what you have done. I would like to thank you for considering that this is an important customer to us and for protecting our customers. However, what you have done is actually violation of our fee structure, violation of our policy and procedures. So what is my recommendation? Look at my recommendation. My recommendation is creating a new policy saying, if a customer came after 10 days of the warranty expired and you believe he is an important customer, you can submit this to the manager and the manager can give him approval. Now, the manager is more likely to give him approval. Why? Because he's not going outside the policy and procedure to give him exceptional approval. No, the policy and the procedure say that the manager can evaluate if the customer is okay within 10 days and give him that. And this is what we have in the banking sector. One time I was late on my credit card payment with my bank, with Mashreq Bank, And then I called them. I said, I'm sorry, I was late, but do you know this is the first time happened? So they say, sir, don't worry. We have customer appreciation policy. So he contacted his manager, and based on they reviewed my account, they say, okay, you are a valuable customer to us. So we have the permission to give you one time only waiver for the credit card charges. And this is the main idea. The main idea, we need to actually think about customers rather than thinking about policy and procedure when we are doing auditing. Why? When you are looking at operation is all about what? It's about business relationship. So customers will build business relationship with your bank. They will go open an account, and after maybe they are happy, they fall in love with your bank. They love the services, they love the features, but definitely your bank on the way, they are gonna have a problems. If you don't fix these problems with customer in the right way, customer will run away. And this is why you need to be very careful. You need to always focusing on how can our bank ensure that our customers are happy with our services. Because what is the benefit if your employees are following the policy and procedures? We have risk management in place, we have governance, and we have no customers. What your bank will end up with? They actually will collapse. Customers is number one. And this is why I want you to focus now. If we say culture is so important, if we say customers are very important, tomorrow, what I want you to do, or today after this session, if you have a discussion, the first risk that you need to focus on when you are doing risk-based audit is to go to your bank and ask them, can you give us the customer complaint file? What customer complaints file? Yes. Look at all the negative feedback customers are telling you about your policy and procedures, about your staff, about your employees, about the delay, about the rejection, about the miscommunication or misinformation or mistakes that happen. And use that to figure out where are the areas that we are actually having issue with it in dealing with customers, because these are the highest risk. If actually customers will not be happy and will leave us because of this process, we are going to lose. There is no benefit of having proper loan procedure to give a loan to a customer if you have no customer. So this is why you need to focus. What are the issues that customer focusing on, and address that. You need to have it in your list. You don't want to be like this guy. Who is this guy? This guy, he's the CEO of Nokia. And the CEO of Nokia was crying. And why he was crying? He was crying because he said the following. He said, we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Yes, they didn't do anything wrong. They just forgot about customers. So don't forget about customers. Today in the banking sectors, banks, in one way or another, they forgot about customers. This in the meaning, they tell customers, this is the way it is. You like it, you like it. You don't like it, leave us. Of course, I leave you. I have so many banks to do business with, especially in UAE. I can go to 20, 30 banks and open bank accounts with, and all of them, they give me competitive features. So how can we make sure that we maintain that customer? We don't let this customer go. Because if you let this customer go, he is not going to be happy. This happened to me personally. I have a credit card from Mashreq Bank. And after that, I just paid for the annual fees. And after 1 week, Mashreq Bank announced, well, this card is now without fees. And I said, hey, I'm your existing customer. You are saying it's without fees for new customer. So why don't you make it without fees for me? They said, sir, the policy and the procedure say, if you are existing customer, you still have to pay the fees. If you are new customers, you don't have to pay the fees. I said, what about the year after? They say, you don't have to pay the fees. We made it without fees. I said, okay, so in that way, we need to make it without fees for me also. They said, we will think about it. I say, easy. If you don't want to make it without fees for me, so what I will do, I will cancel my card and I will apply for another card with another bank. They say, let me check. They went back and they said, sorry, sir. Again, the policy and procedures. Based on the policy and procedures, we are not allowed to give you back your money. However, the policy and procedures say that if customers that it's important and we appreciate and we need to keep him with us, we can actually credit him the amount he paid as points in his account that he can redeem later. So are you okay with us crediting you the amount as points? I said, okay. So they credit me the amount. So again, focusing as a bank, how can I maintain my customers? And why is that? Because they say it's not the strongest of speeches that survive, nor the most intelligent one. Is the one that most responsive to change. Today, we are living in an age where we are having this emergency crisis, Corona. So is your bank actually responding to it. The meaning, like for example, my bank, my Mashreq Bank, they said, okay, yeah, what you are gonna do, we are gonna actually send you anyone to your house if you need to submit a document. Any transactions that you need where you need to interact with someone, we can send you someone. Or if you have anything, we can process it over the internet. So are the procedures and controls inside your bank responding to these changes? How can you make it in a right way? I noticed a very interesting thing happened in one of the banks in India. So one guy working in the bank, and he understood that money and checks can have corona. So what he did something very funny. Every time a customer will bring a check for him to deposit, before he will deposit, he was wearing gloves. He will take the check from him with the gloves, and he will put it on the desk, and he got an iron from his house, and he will iron the check from the front and from the back to kill all the coronavirus. And then he will take the glove out, and then he will wear another one. So the main idea, how can we as organization be able to adapt to the changes that are currently happening? So most of us, when we are conducting audit, we are thinking about what went wrong in the past. The meaning, in your bank, your head of internal audit saying, okay, we need to audit exactly the procedures to see if the loan process done over the last, like say 1,000 loans in the right way. So select a sample and test. So that's correct. What went wrong in the past is important. But what is more important, it's what's gonna go wrong. The meaning, what about the next 1,000 loans that we are gonna give? Do we have the right internal control and risk management in process to ensure they are gonna be done in the right way? And this is why we call this future-based auditing. We need to focus on the future. We need to provide business assurance for the future. The meaning, we need to say what's gonna happen in the future and how can we address these issues in the future in the right way. Future-based auditing is the way to go. Because it's not about yesterday bullet that can kill you, but it's about tomorrow bullet that might. So how can we address the future? What are the future challenges that we have? This is why they say it's very important to understand how to do audit planning. They say when you are conducting audit planning, the old way, the old standard said, we need to focus on the risk of conformance. We need to make sure you are following the policy and the procedures and the internal controls. Not anymore. Now, when you are conducting audit, you need to have in the back of your head that the focus is not on actually going and ensuring everyone in conformance. No. Of course, that's important. 20%, 30%, we need to make sure everyone is following policy and procedures, and that's important. But the key issue in your audit is focusing on the risk of performance. Do we have the proper internal control, risk management in place to ensure we are going to achieve the goals in the future? To ensure we are going to achieve our target in the future. And that's more important. So it's more important to ensure that actually the individuals that you are giving the loan to in the future, they are going to pay the loan rather than ensuring that they are conforming in the process when you are giving them the loan and then they bankrupt and then they will not give you the money back. So focus on the performance rather than conformance. At the same time, please, when you are going to discuss with your management team, don't use the word internal audit plan anymore. Doesn't exist. 20 years ago, we stopped using it. What we are using today? Today, we call it assurance strategy. The meaning, the head of internal audit, when he needs to submit to the audit committee and to the board of directors, the same way the financial department saying, here are our financial strategies, the marketing department saying, here are our marketing strategies, the operational department saying, here are our operational strategies, you need to go and say, here are our assurance strategy. Why? Because we are the assurance department. We are not internal audit anymore. So the title of the document should be the assurance strategy. And what is the definition of the assurance strategy? What are you going to do as an auditor to provide assurance that the current internal control, risk management, and governance in place are going to help us achieve the goals in 2021? Or they are going to help us achieve the goals in 2020. The meaning, you are actually providing assurance over the processes to ensure the organization will achieve the objective. This is what we call it assurance strategy. It's not internal audit anymore. This is why we say we need to move from the conformance to the performance issues by making sure that we are actually focusing on rewarded risk rather than unrewarded risk. What's the difference between rewarded risk and not rewarded risk? You come as an auditor to one of the branches and you say, wait, we can see that you don't have actually some of the flyers in the bottom here. Why you don't have some of the flyers? So they can add some of the flaws. Do you think this is like a rewarded risk if they add it or they not add it? They have enough flaws, they add more flaws, is okay. You go focus on issues that are not gonna add so much value. But for example, if you go and you see customers are waiting inside your bank, and you don't tell me about the waiting time when you go to one of the banks, right? 20 minutes, 30 minutes for customer to just go to the teller. Why? Because you don't have enough staff to meet all the demand that we have. This is what you need to focus on. If I go and I wait for 30 minutes to deal with the teller, do you think I'm going to be satisfied? Do you think I will be happy? No. I will think 4 or 5 times, maybe switching a bank to another bank. So focus on the rewarded risk, that if we don't manage this risk in the right way, disasters can happen. We are going to lose customers. So always the focus is on the performance. Conformance again is important, but 70% on the performance and 30% on the conformance. This is why we say internal auditors today, they need a new skill set, because they are going to do work in a different way. They need to acquire the technical skills related to auditing the organization's greatest risk. The meaning, your organization, they did a great job by sending you to a training related to risk-based audit. But you need to actually go to a training related, what are the major risks that the banks are facing today? Because for me, I'm teaching you the process of conducting risk-based audit. But you need to go and read the research by the central bank in UAE, saying what are the major risks happening. You need to read the research by World Forum Organization related to what are the current risks facing our world. Because these are the risks that when you are auditing your bank, you need to say, listen, these are our strategic objectives, these are our compliance objectives, these are our operational objectives, these are our reporting objectives. What are the issues that are going to affect these objectives from risk standpoint, and what risk processes you have? So you need to understand from the banking sector the issues related to risk. Then we need to hire auditors who can understand more the business and operation. So this is why sometimes it's recommended to take one branch manager or one person who's working in the back office in the bank and bring him to your audit team, because he can add value. He can understand exactly the procedures that are happening. So we can create a program like guest auditor, where auditor will go and work in the operation for a while, then he will come back, or the opposite. One person, he's working the operation for a while and he will come to the audit. That will build more relationship between us and between them. If you have any questions, you can write it in the question and answer section, and I will come back and get back to you. So these are the issues that we need to address. Now, what about also rotating experience internal audit? The meaning, if you are conducting audit over anti-money laundering procedures, and this is what I did in US. In US, I was working as a financial auditor. So my manager will say, yeah, today you are going to go to a hedge fund and you are going to do auditing over anti-money laundering procedures. Tomorrow, you are going to go to another hedge fund and you are going to audit the financial transaction. The day after, you are going to go to another bank and you are going to audit cash operation. Why? Because rotating the internal audit will give him a better understanding of the whole process, rather than making him go do the same checklist over and over, and then he will get bored with it. So make him gain the right skills for him to do the job. Also, you need to acquire experience related to the risk assessment and management. So when you are going, and by the way, when you write any of your questions, I will be able to see it. You don't see the questions here, but I will be able to see your questions and answer the questions. So you can just write your questions. All right, so they say acquire the experience related to risk assessment and management. So you as an auditor, it's not enough for you to have the auditing understanding, but also you need to be able to understand exactly what is the right risk management assessment procedures that we need to have in place. The meaning, do you know the method of conducting risk assessment? Do you know the proper method for your organization to manage the risk? When is the last time you attended a class related to risk management in the banking sector to understand what are the issues that banking are facing? And part of this course in the coming sessions this week, I will go and show you exactly what are the major risks that banks are facing. And one of them is your bank. So I have a case study about your bank. What are the issues that are happening? How every time when we are trying to manage one risk, another risk will come because we didn't think about the other risk. And this is interesting. Also, hiring internal auditor with more data analytics. Today, we are living in an age of data. And this is how we need to actually, when we are conducting risk-based audit, to be able to do analytics to find exactly what is the highest risk that we need to focus on in our audits. Also, like we discussed before, addressing any issues related to cybersecurity and addressing any issues related to fraud risk. And today we are living in an age where internal audit is not anymore doing compliance and checklist. The meaning you need to really have the proper interpersonal communication skills when you are interacting with the client. So do you have that ability to speak with the client in the right way or not? And finally, which is very important, do you have the creativity, the innovation, the critical thinking to go actually and come up with a new policy and procedures that will help the bank? The meaning, if the bank is actually saying this is the policy we will follow for the last 20 years, do you have the ability to be creative, to actually come up with a more innovative solution to fix the issue that the bank is having by suggesting to them what they can do? Where can you get this from? Where if you are following everything related to banking innovation, to the new ideas and advancement, you can actually come up with ideas like this. And you can see exactly how so many of the banks, they are coming with innovative solutions to solve these problems that customers have. One of the problems customers have, we call it what? We call it a verification. What's the meaning verification? Verification, when customers is interacting with you, you need to get confirmation. You need to get verification that this is the customer. So how can you get the verification? We follow a process in the bank, we call it authentication process to get this verification and confirmation. The meaning authentication, when I go and pick up the phone and I call your bank, you are gonna ask me security questions, right? And I love the security questions, how, sorry for this word, in some of the banks here, they are stupid. So I call my bank, I say, hi, I would like to check my bank balance. Sir, first security questions. All right, what is the first security question? The first security question, sir, do you have any overdraft account with us? Overdraft amount. Two answers, yes or no. Okay, next one. Sir, how many millionaire certificate do you have with us? Most of the customers, maybe they don't have any. So I can say number, or most likely I can say I don't have any. All right, third security question. Sir, how many credit cards do you have with us? Do you think with someone will have with a bank 5 credit cards? Most likely 1 credit card. And this is why I'm calling about the credit card, because I want to check the amount that I have to pay. So I say 1 credit card. So the bank says, thank you, sir. You are Iyad Murtada. We confirm you. Yes, how can we help you? Really? Are these the proper way of actually handling this? So what the banks came up with an idea to solve these issues, they say easy. They discover that your voice is very unique. And in that case, if you go pick up the phone and call, and they can actually have the tone of your voice, you can just say hello. The bank call it, we got you from hello. The minute you pick up the phone and say hello, they say, hi, Mr. Iyad. Say, how do you know? They say, don't worry, the system authenticated you using voice. So we call it voice ID. So that was an innovative solution someone came up with. But because they actually coming up with the innovative side and forgetting the risk and controls related to it, what happened? Well, easy. The hackers, they actually took your tone and they actually recorded you, and they used the recording to access your bank, because they only use it during the verification process. So someone will call you and you say hello, they take your hello and they call the bank, and now they verify you, and now they can do the transaction. So always we need to think, how can we come with innovative way, critical thinking to solve the problems, but at the same time, we need to address the issues related to the risk for it. So based on what we discussed, the role of internal auditor today, it's changed from doing compliance, testing, checklist, which is required only the basic knowledge related to internal audit, to moving to conducting business insight, where you are actually not only auditing the processes, but you are actually advising management about what they need to do, to what we call strategic advisor, where you are now not advising management. Management, they are low level. You are advising the board of directors. You are advising senior management about what are the issues that need to be addressed for us to fix the issue, for us to move to the future. The meaning, you are not going to board of directors saying, yes, everything is good, they are following the policy. No, you tell them, hey, board of director, they are following the policy, but we need to change the policy. They say, why? They say, so we can achieve the goals of the organization in the future. So you need to provide them advice. And this is why it will require knowledge about the business, understanding of the audit, and having the right strategic skills for you to be able to play a strategic role inside the organization. They say inside any organization, especially in the banking sectors, ideas are the currency of success. The meaning inside your bank, what is the next credit card? Is it the Emirates Airline credit card, Amara credit card, I don't know, Corona credit card? What is the next credit card that you are going to come up with that everyone is going to say, that's the card. I love that card. I want to buy that card. What is the next reward scheme you are going to create? Because the failure and success of your bank, of any organization, is based on the next big idea that they are going to come up. But at the same time, this big next idea can be disaster, can cause your organization to collapse completely. So are you actually coming up with the next right idea or not? Why? Because at the time of launching that idea, that will determine its success or failure. How many organizations they launch ideas and they were unbelievably successful, and how many ideas they were disaster. So let's take an example. When we are speaking about implementing any ideas, you need to actually think about the strategy and the execution. So sometimes, the strategy is great, but the execution is not done properly. So the result will be disaster. For example, one individual has contacted me from one bank. I'm not going to mention the name of the bank. And he said, sir, would you like to apply for a credit card? I said, okay. They say, sir, don't worry. Why don't you send me your financial statement, your information, your Emirates ID to my Gmail account? I say, why Gmail account? They say, we are representing the bank and we are generating leads for the bank. So we need this information. I said, yes, but you don't have a proper email. You don't have the bank email for me to send. They said, no, Gmail. I said, no. They say, okay, so don't worry. If you want, we can send you someone to your house and he will take copies of all that. I said, who's this person? Someone's going to come knock on my house, say, hi, how are you? You don't know me, but I'm going to do all these processes. They said, no, sir, he will show employment card. I said, really? Anyone can from the street, print on Photoshop employment card and come to me and collect my information. So the strategy may be right. They are outsourcing to different entities to be able to generate leads, but the execution is done very poorly. And because of that, I didn't trust this organization or the bank anymore to apply with them for the credit card, because I'm afraid what's going to happen to my information. How many times they are going to sell this information in the market? They are having copy of my Emirates ID. They are having copy of my financial information. So any idea to be successful, you need to ensure the strategy is right and the execution is right to get the result. So here's an example. Blackberry, they came up with an amazing idea. They say, we are launching a tablet Blackberry for the first time. Because Apple, they launched iPad and it was very successful. We are going to compete against Apple and we are going to launch Blackberry Playbook. And this is exactly what happened. Why? Blackberry, they only lost $485 million because of that. Who is inside Blackberry creating these crazy ideas that made the organization lose approximately $500 million? And this is what will happen in your bank. Inside your bank, one guy who's working inside the executive management will come up with a crazy idea. Crazy idea like what? Do you know, it's the Corona season. Let's create a Corona credit card. And someone say, what is Corona credit card? Well, it's trendy. We say this credit card, if you actually get it from us and you got Corona, we will pay for all your medical fees. Wow. A nice idea. Everyone now afraid that if they go to the hospital, they have to pay for their medical fees. Don't worry. If you have this card, or you have full insurance on you. And then someone will say, is this really the right idea? Is this really smart idea? But imagine if the board of directors and management team say, great idea. This is why our role as an auditor to come to this crazy person and say, wait, do you want our name, our bank to be associated with the Corona crisis or not? Is this the right marketing strategy to actually use this methodology, or maybe we need another strategy? Again, it's all about two things. It's about, do we have the right strategy? And in case we have the right strategy, do we have the right execution for it? Because at the end of the day, can we achieve the performance? I don't care how amazing your strategy or execution. At the end of the day, are we going to acquire the customers? Are we going to achieve the sales? Are we going to have profit and revenue at the end? This is why today shareholders are having higher expectations from internal auditors. So 62% of shareholders, they are expecting more from internal auditors. And what they are asking internal auditors to do, they are asking internal auditors to conduct audit beyond the numbers. They don't want you just to go and audit the reports. They want you to understand what are the controls that generate this report. What about the culture? What about the procedures? Should we change them or should we keep them? What about customer complaints? What's going on? And the most importantly, about risk management. They are expecting you to go and audit the risk management processes for you to understand exactly what's going on related to the organization managing its risk. Because again, we discuss most of the organization in the banking sector collapse. Why? Because they didn't take enough risk or they took so much risk. Also, you need to address issues related to IT security, to data management, then operational risk, then compliance and regulations. Now, this is an interesting survey which shows, should internal auditor have more active role in organization strategic risk? And the answer is yes. Board of directors, this is the stakeholders request. They are asking you as an auditor, please, next time when you do an audit, don't do operational audit. Or you are auditing policy and procedure. No, strategic audit, meaning go and audit these organization processes and procedures to see, are they helping us to achieve our goals, our objectives at the end? Don't just focus on auditing these procedures and move on. So are we actually focusing on the strategic risk of the organization rather than just the operational risk? At the same time, we need to look at any other avenues for internal auditors to actually help them improve the organization. Look what stakeholders are requesting. The stakeholders are requesting, saying you need as an auditor to focus on strategic risks during audit projects. You need to focus on communicating the key risk. You say, yeah, what do you mean by communicating risk, key risk? When you are actually speaking with management and you are speaking about communicating this key risk, if you write them in a report, maybe nobody will see. This is why the best way of communication is you need to actually explain it to them in a way they understand it. Sometimes you can use photos, sometimes you can use videos, sometimes you can actually take them to that site or give them an actual examples. Because having something in general saying, we need to focus on ensuring that the security is standing next to the door, the ATM is done, everyone will read it. But can they really imagine, understand what are these issues and risks that we need to address? Also focusing on evaluating the execution of strategic initiative. If your bank decided to move to digital bank, how they are going to do this execution? Because this execution is really critical. If your bank is moving to a digital bank, and when I'm interacting with the digital bank, it doesn't work. Like one bank here in UAE, my friend, he got an account with it and I'm transferring money to his account and they told me, oh, the online transfer system for that bank is down for 10 days. What? The online transfer system for the whole bank is down for 10 days? What the hell they are doing there? This is not a supermarket. You can say, sorry, we don't have milk, come tomorrow. You need to have the system working, because how can you do business if the system is not working? This is again, the execution. If you have issues with the execution, disaster can happen. Also, they are asking, what are the areas that we need to actually make internal auditor do work more than just conducting assurance? And they say the areas where auditors, they need to work more is related to actually improving the business processes. See, they came to the same thing. You need to work on a strategic level to improve the business processes. You need to facilitate and monitor the effectiveness of risk management. You need to alert management about emerging risks, telling them, look, the next risk that's coming. We need to address that. How can we deal with it? And inside the banking sector, for the coming 6 months, for the coming 10 months, 1 year, still we have the risk of the virus related to the checks, to the cash, to the money. This is why the central bank, they said all the ATMs should have a new currency. So in that way, at least these currencies are clean. So when someone will take them, they don't have any viruses. But someone said, yeah, but the virus, they don't live more than 3 hours in a currency. Well, this is what they said, but until now, nobody knows. And this is the whole idea. They said, today, when we are going to come back and open as banks, what are the risks that we are going to face related to this issue of interaction? Remember, customers are going to go to your branch, interact. Are we going to have glass door, where behind glass door, they can speak with you, so in that way, there is no face-to-face interaction with the teller at cashier? I don't know. Maybe this is the future of banking. You see him behind the glass door. And after that, when you give him a check, the check will go through a machine, and this machine will actually cleanse the check before going to the customer, or will cleanse the money before, I don't know. Or maybe they are going to create now in the future new ATM, especially in US. In US, they have more than 500,000 now individuals with Corona. So it's spreading clearly. Maybe future ATM they will create in US, every time you deposit the money inside the machine, it will cleanse the currency, and every time you take it out, it will cleanse it. I don't know. This is where you need to focus on what are the issues that we are going to face. At the same time, they ask, stakeholders. Based on what you can evaluate the performance of the auditor. Based on what you can say, this internal audit department is doing a great job, or they are actually not doing a great job at all. And they say the main issue that they focus on it, number one, is addressing the root cause. What are the major root cause? Are you actually looking at the root cause, or you are looking at the surface? So let me give you here an example so to understand the root cause. They say auditors, they were auditing the government spending in Washington related to one building, which is the Jefferson building in Washington. And they say, we spend a lot of money annually to do maintenance for the building. So we need to understand why this is happening. So the auditor asked management, why you spend hundreds of thousands to do maintenance for the structure of the building? They say, because we are actually using high pressure water to clean the building, and that's destroying the structure of the building, destroying, the building structure on outside. In that case, we have to do maintenance to fix it. And they say, and why you don't use normal water? Why you are using high pressure water to do it? They say, because every day in the morning, there's waste from the birds, and the birds are standing on the building and they are leaving their waste. So this is why we need to high pressure water to clean that waste. And they say, and why the birds are coming to our building? They say, because there are so many spiders on the building, and the birds will come to eat these spiders, and then they will leave their waste. And they ask, why there are so many spiders on the buildings? Because they say there are so many insects are standing on the building, so the spiders will come to eat them. And they say, and why we have so many insects? They say, because management, they are stupid. They decided to leave the light on all night long. All the building in Washington, the light is off, except this building, the light is on. So all the insects will come, the spider will come, the birds will come, and then we need to clean it. Then we have to pay a lot of money for doing the maintenance. So the solution is easy. Turn off the lights, no need anymore to actually spend all this money. So this is why our role as auditors is not only to look at the surface. We need to go and ask questions related to the root cause, understanding exactly what's going on for us to solve the actual problem that's happening. Don't ask the teller, what's the issue, what's happening here? Go and look at the root cause. What is causing this issue to happen from the beginning? And then address it. To give you an example in the banking sector, my bank, they are charging me for this additional insurance that I didn't request for. So I remember one customer called me, said, sir, we are so happy to inform you there are new benefits on your card. I said, okay. They say, would you like to get them? I said, okay. But he didn't inform me that for me to get these new benefits, I have to pay around, I forgot how much the percentage, 1% out of the total outstanding amount. So later, when I got my credit card statement, I said, why they are charging me for this new benefit? So I called them, I said, you are charging me for, they said, yes, sir. You approved. I said, no. You called me and you said there are new benefits. So I said, thank you, yes, give me the new benefit. You didn't tell me we are gonna charge you on the new benefits. You didn't tell me that this was gonna happen. So they said, oh, okay, we are so sorry for that. We are gonna go and listen to the tape again. I said, yes, please go listen to the tape again. So they listened to the tape and they came back to me and say, we are so sorry for what happened. It looks like there's a confusion. I said, no, there's no confusion. It was very clear. Nobody said to me this is what happened. But they said, don't worry, sir. We are gonna credit you the money back and we are gonna take you out of this. I said, great. The funny thing that yesterday, after the class, I got a call from the same bank, which is just 3 months after, saying, we are so sorry, so happy, sir, to inform you that there are new services on your account. Would you like to get them? And I say, they didn't learn from their mistake. Is this the guy or is this department actually, they are just trying to trick customers to take their money, and they are gonna cause issue with the customer satisfaction, they are gonna get complaints, but at the end, maybe they acquire some money and customers didn't notice. So this is why, if you see issues like customer complaints, see, this is why I'm saying auditors, you need to go look at the customer complaints. If you see customers are calling and complaining, don't go and say, in that case, we need to actually address this issue by just putting policy and procedures in place. We need to go and address the reason. The reason, maybe not the person, maybe the reason his boss saying, you need to get 10 customers to agree every day. So he's taking the customer to get his quota. So we need to look at the root cause. What is the root cause that's causing this to happen, rather than just addressing what's going on? Then they speak about the quality of the audit work. You need to do your work properly. You need to communicate timely. You need to address the emerging risks that are happening. This is why we can say the internal auditor role is that the organization change from doing assurance only to providing assurance, where you're saying problems, we have problems, we need to fix it, to saying what are the solutions for these problems, how can we work with management to solve these issues, to then the next level to do actually insight to help management address what are the upcoming issues that they are going to face, to finally being trusted advisor to work with management hands by hands to ensure that we are going to actually achieve the objectives of the future. And to do that, you need definitely leadership skills. This is why they say internal auditors in the old days, we need someone who is good in doing checklists. Today, no, you need to have the proper character. Not everyone can be an internal auditor, because if you have the proper leadership and character, you will be able to effectively lead the internal audit department. Make sure the staff are actually on top of their job. They are not wasting time around. You need to be able to address the root cause, because you are going to insist on management to understand what is the actual cause for this to happen. We are not looking at the service, and you will be able to finish your work on time. And these are really important issues for you to address, but definitely you need to have the skills for you to be able to do it. And this is why they say for us to move ahead and conduct a risk-based audit, we need to move to develop audit assurance. What's the meaning of audit assurance? We need to make sure that our audit plans are aligned with the business objectives. The meaning, the first thing for you to do, don't tell me I'm going to ask the organization what are the risks. No. Risk-based approach, it's not alone. I said it's risk and objective-based approach. What's the meaning risk and objective? The meaning you start by the objectives. You ask, what are our objectives? What are our goals for 2020, for 2021? Based on these goals and objectives, based on the strategic plans that they have inside your bank, you will go and say, what are the risks that are there that will not allow us to achieve these goals and objectives? And then we analyze these risks to see which one is high, low, and medium. And then we go and focus on auditing the high and medium risk. This is what we call it assurance strategy, aligning the audit plan with the business objective. For you to do this, you need to ensure that the chief audit executive, they have a strategic seat on the table. You need to ensure that internal auditor, they have the right leadership skills and they have the proper strategic and critical thinking for them to be able to take and lead their role inside the organization. What I'm talking about to you here, it's based on my presentation that I have did in the II International Conference in New York. We were speaking with them about the future of internal audit. And most of the slides that I'm sharing here with you is from that presentation. We were talking about what is the new way, what is the modern approach that you need to actually do. But look how they perceive you, management. They see you, you are actually wasting their time. You are actually checking the list. You are actually trying to figure out minor mistakes. And this is why the first step is we need to change their way of thinking by changing our name to saying we are business assurance, by changing the way we report. Stop calling them auditee in the audit report. How many times you call them auditee? You need to change it to call them client. Stop sending emails saying an audit. Tell them assurance engagement. Stop call it audit plan, call it assurance strategy. So changing the terms and names, you can't imagine the impact on it on management, because in that way they see you as another business unit adding value rather than someone coming to check on them to show their mistakes. So the future-based audit is based on changing your approach from what happened to the past and today to the future. So the first thing, when we speak about focus, in the old days, we are focusing on rotational audit. The meaning we audit this branch this year, after 3 years, we come back and audit it again. Rotational audit. But today we say, no. We don't audit the branches in this way. We focus which branch got the highest risk and we go audit that branch first. But in the future, it's focusing on strategic business and process risk, is understanding the whole operation inside the bank in total and figuring out what are the issues that we need to address, not we go branch by branch. Now, from a perspective, in the old days, we audit what happened in the past. Today, we are still auditing, your department is auditing the loans, the procedure, the processes that happened in the past to ensure that loans are done properly. In the future, in the cutting edge, we are going to focus on what's happening in the future. We are going to focus on future-based audit, not focusing on what happened in the past. At the same time, the style that we use in the old days, we use style, we call it corporate police. You are coming to check on you. Today, we are saying father knows best, meaning I am coming to tell you what you should do because you don't know. And if you don't know, I will tell you why, because you need to follow the policy and procedures. The right approach is to work with them as a consultant. We need to go with them, understand the operation to be able to fix the issue and address the issue in the right way. Now, when we are speaking about the mandate, when we speak about the mandate in the old days is compliance and policy and procedures. That means we are actually going there to check that they are following the compliance and procedures. And this is the main issue that we address. Today, we are saying, no, what we need to go, we need to provide assurance and we need to ensure that they are following the financial control and we need to ensure they are in compliance. They say in tomorrow, the main focus is focusing on business objective, business strategy, business assurance. And this is the main case. How can we ensure that this is happening in the right way? What about the risk focus? When we speak about the risk focus, in the old days, they say, we do our work as a financial audit only. Do you remember the old days? The old days is all about financial audit. What's the meaning financial audit? The meaning we are going to check the numbers. We are gonna come to verify the numbers, ensure the numbers are correct. Today, we are doing financial plus operation. But in the future, we are focusing on the enterprise risk in general. The toolkits that we had in the old days, compliance program, we have a checklist and we do. Today, we have audit programs. We have different processes and procedures and issue we are audit. In the future, they say most likely create a system of self-assessment, create a system of continuous monitoring. And this is why they say technology, in the old days, we used our hands. There is no technology. Today, we are using computers and automated work programs. We are using Excel. We are using Word. We are using different programs for auditing. In the future is an automated process, meaning auditing is happening 24 hours. We are operating at the speed of risk. So now what do you see here? You can write that in your question answer. What do you see? Do you see a monkey? Do you see stairs? Do you see, what do you see? You can write in the question answer. What is the things that you see in front of you? Remember, you are auditors. Someone will give you some information, some facts. What do you see? This is the letter E. So sometimes we say when we are actually looking at things based on the law of subtraction, which is a very interesting book, they say there are two individuals in the world. Individuals will see what is in front of them, and individual will see what is missing. You as an auditor, you need to be able to see what is missing. The issue when you are conducting risk-based audit, that risk is not in front of you. Risk is missing. You look at the operation, then you need to say, where is the risk? What can go wrong here? And this is why your ability to identify that is very critical. There is another question and another example based on this book called Think Fast and Think Slow. They say they did a kidney cancer study in US and they discovered that the country in which the incident of kidney cancer is the lowest is in the countryside. And the countries which the incident of kidney cancer is the highest is in the city side. So I'm giving you this information for you as an auditor. Can you tell me what's the reason why we have the lowest incidents inside the countryside and the highest incident inside the city side? What can be the reason? Let's see what you are answering here. What can be the reason why we have high kidney cancer incident in the city and low kidney cancer in the countryside? What can be the reason? What do you think as an auditor? Someone is giving you this information and you are trying to come up with the main reason why this is happening. All right, one person, he said because it's about the food they eat. Okay, maybe. One person say it's low stress and it's the healthy lifestyle that they have in the countryside. All right. One person said it's the lifestyle. One person said it's the food they eat. It's about the population. It's not about the pollution. The meaning in the countryside, they have less individuals, so they have less incidents. In the city side, they have more individuals, more incidents. Think about it like Corona today. Corona, in the countryside, we have less cases of Corona. Why do they have less individuals? In the city side, like in New York, we have so many cases. Why do they have a lot of individuals? So next time when you are auditing branch inside your bank, and you have two branches, one branch in Fujairah and one branch in Dubai Mall, and you say, we have more issues. We have around 1,000 transactions that we need to look at inside the Dubai Mall, and they have an issue. Compared, we have only 10 transactions in Fujairah. That's not because, of any reason other than the number of transactions in Fujairah is lower than the one we have in Dubai Mall, but actually they are the same percentage. So this is why internal auditors should not be taken by something they don't know. Do you know that kidney cancer is not related to the food you eat or the pollution or the stress level? It's related to completely different factors. But because we see this is happening in one side, it's not happening in one side, immediately we create our own projection. You as an internal auditor, you need to look at the root cause. All right, let me give you another example. So look at this example. They say Jack is looking at Anne, but Anne is looking at George. Jack is married, but George is not. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person? What do you think? Again, Jack is looking at Anne, but Anne is looking at George. Jack is married, but George is not. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person? Yes, no, or we can determine. What do you think? You are auditors. You are looking at the situation. Okay, let me make it easy for you. All right, Jack is looking at Anne, and Anne is looking at George. Now, let me make it easy for you. Jack is married and George is not. Is a married person looking at an unmarried person? What do you think? Because let's assume that Anne is unmarried. So if Anne is unmarried, a married person looking at an unmarried person, it's correct, it's true. Or let's assume that Anne is married. So if she is married, she is looking at an unmarried person. So it doesn't matter if Anne is married or not married. It's always yes, true. And this is why sometime in audit, when you are auditing and you are missing some information, you don't have certain reports, you say, sorry, we can't continue the audit, we stop. We have limitation. No. Sometimes you need to understand maybe the information you are looking at and you are trying to use inside your audit, you can find it by relating something else because sometimes it's not important for your audit 100%. You can go around it. Don't limit your audit and stop your audit just saying because we don't have the information. And most of the time, having more information is not always better. Sometimes when you go to a branch manager, and this happened with me when I used to audit hedge funds, they come with boxes. They say, here are all the records. When they give me more information, it will confuse me because now I'm confused what I need to look for. So not having all the information is always better. Now let's discuss how can we conduct risk-based plan. They say planning audit engagement. How can we plan this audit engagement? They say planning audit engagement is focusing on very simple thing. Remember, what I'm talking about is the modern internal auditing. I'm not talking about something you are going to read in a book published in 2000. We're speaking about 2020. What is the way for you to conduct risk-based audit based on the most recent publication by the IIA? They say it's all about strategy and execution. This is what IIA said. They said that we need to start by saying, what is the strategy the organization they are going to implement? And then ask ourselves, what is the execution that they follow? And based on that, we can analyze the highest risk that we need to focus on. So let me explain to you, what is the new role that auditors, they need to play today inside the organization? That I know that your management team, and sometimes your board of directors and audit committee, they will not like it. Because they say, who said that you are going to play a strategic role? You go do audit branch, audit over the branch, audit over the operation. You go look at these policy and procedures. We don't want you to look at strategic level. Because why? Why do you think they will say this board of directors audit committee? Because maybe some of them, they are not aware of the new changes that happen, that the role of internal auditor moved to be strategic role. So let me explain to you the risk related to the strategy and execution. Here we have the Leaning Tower of Pisa. What do you think? What happened here? Is it risk of strategy or risk of execution? See, always for an auditor to understand, the performance is related to two things: risk of strategy or risk of execution. Some of you said strategy, some of execution. Actually, the strategy is right. They decided to build the tower in the right place. No, the strategy is wrong. The location they have selected to the tower is wrong. So they have not selected the right location. The ground that they have selected is actually weak. So when they built the tower, the execution was great. You can see it was really well executed, amazing building. But actually, because the strategy is wrong, it led to this Leaning Tower of Pisa. So sometimes we need to understand, if the strategy is wrong and the execution is amazing, you end up with a Leaning Tower of Pisa. Or what about here, what happened in China? After they built the whole building collapsed. The same thing is the issue with the strategy. They selected lower ground that's not suitable for building. They selected the bottom of a valley to build. So after that, the ground was weak, the whole building collapsed. But don't worry, everyone now got first floor. What about what happened here in South Korea? They took an apartment building and they actually, in this apartment building, they converted to a mall and they brought an engineer. They told him, can you see that wall? We don't want it. Can you see that wall? We don't want it. What do you don't want it? This is apartment building. We need these walls to support the building. They say, no, we are converting it into a mall. So they removed all the features walls that are important inside the apartment and all the main walls. And after that, they built another floor to make it 5 stores building. And after 5 years, the whole building collapsed, killing more than 1,500 in hospital. So is this issue with the strategy or execution? Well, it's in the execution. The strategy was great. We are going to take apartment building and make it a mall. But the execution need to be done in the proper way. Otherwise, disaster will happen. And this is what will happen inside your organization. Board of directors say, this is how we are going to build the rocket. And your scientists, your executive saying, great, we are going to deliver. And here's the rocket that we built. And they are saying, here, come auditor, can you see the rocket we have built? It's exactly the same one the board of directors requested. And we are coming wondering, are you crazy? It's not at all. They say, what's wrong with it? It's exactly the same. And this is always our argument with management, that management, they think inside their brain that what they are doing is exactly what the board of directors requested. And this is why for us, we need to highlight to them that no, this rocket is not going to fly. So what we need to do, this is what we need to do. First thing, we need to look at the objectives of the organization. We need to ask management who are putting the objectives. What are these objectives that you have to achieve 2020 goals? Then our role as an auditor is to ensure that these objectives are aligned with the mission of the organization, are going to help us achieve our goals. Because sometimes the objectives of the organization is crazy. They will not help us achieve our goals. So sometimes even on a higher level, what can happen? The CEO of the organization can come up with objectives, can come with ideas. We need as an auditor, we say us, yes, we come as an auditor and we need to advise board of directors about this idea that these executives are speaking about. Your executive management, they decide to launch a new device. They decide to launch a new concept. And they say in 2020, we are going to implement this new concept. Now you as an auditor, you look at this objective and you are afraid. Maybe it will create strategic risk. The meaning maybe is going to affect us to actually achieve our objective or will make us lose money. So if you believe that, you need to advise the board of directors before we implement the ideas, not after we lose 700 million, before we implement the idea that these ideas, maybe they are not good. They are not going to help us achieve the objectives. What if the ideas is great? What if the ideas is amazing? The second thing, you need to ask management, what is the strategy? How are you going to achieve that idea? The meaning, let's say your bank said that we are going to actually increase the customers of credit card by 20%. Okay, it looks reasonable. All of us, we agree. But the question, how? What about by saying, for every customer who will sign with a credit card, we give him 1,000. Amazing. Guess what will happen? The laborers who are working inside the labor camp will come and say, I would like to get a credit card, give me 1,000. And then I will cancel credit card or I will not use it at all. But we say, oh, no, we will put certain criteria and certain restrictions. Yes, everyone who doesn't want a credit card and they are wealthy, they say, what? Why not? I will go get this credit card and I will trash it after. So sometime what will happen, management, they can achieve the ideas like what they do in Dubai. How any business in Dubai can make money? By giving 99% discount. You see 99% discount, you go buy. It doesn't matter what they are selling. But at the end, are we going to generate a profit? It's not about the revenue, about the profit. So this is why if we believe the strategic plans that the organization they have is not going to help us in achieving the objective, we need to say we have a strategic risk here we need to address. After that, what about the execution? Okay, we discussed the objective, we discussed the strategy. Now, what about we asked them, what are the controls? What about the risk management? What about the policy you have in place to ensure that the execution will be properly done? So in that way, the result will be great. So if they say, well, we don't have really the right execution, we didn't figure it out, we need to come and say, you need to have all the controls in place to ensure at the end the execution is great. And finally, it's about the evaluation of the outcome. Remember, every year, by the end of the year, the CEO will come, the executive management, all of them, they want to show board of directors, they want to show the investors that they achieved the target. Customers increase, profit increase, revenue increase, everything looks great. We, as an auditor, we have very important responsibility. What is this responsibility? We have important responsibility to ensure that actually everything in place. What's the meaning to ensure everything in place? To ensure that actually the numbers, the reporting are done properly. There are no issues in these numbers. Nobody is faking the numbers, or they are not using fake reporting mechanisms. Example of fake reporting mechanisms. We can say how many customers we served. This is fake reporting mechanisms, because serving customers doesn't mean we make money out of them. Or how many customers open bank account. We can have thousands of customers, but they have no money inside. So we need to have the proper measures to say, for example, how much additional deposits we have inside the bank. For example, how many amount of loans that we have giving out and they are performing. Not, oh, we give 20,000 loans, but we have so many of them non-performing. What's the benefit? We are losing money. So this is why conducting risk-based audit is based on doing what we call strategic audit. Doing strategic audit by looking at the objective, looking at planning the strategy, looking at the execution, and then the evaluation.